Okay, I just recorded a 5-minute video prior to turning the mic on. Protection 1, I fixed my stopwatch batch file so that it doesn't allow me to make a mistake I made before, which was I just put a time in like this, forgetting that that's not the syntax. I have to say time equals. Now it should be good for 5 minutes. Oh, did you see that little box there? That's one of my fancy new tools. A very useful tool. Well, I'll demonstrate the use of the tool right now. See? I didn't have to click anything or press Alt-Tab or anything like that in order to return the focus to where I wanted it to be. And that's what the job of that tool is, to do. I use it all over the place. For instance, see this Process Explorer. I typically run this as administrator so that I can see, names and so on. Now the problem with that is I can't hide that with this box because this is not running as an administrator. But if I have something like this box, which is an administrator box running, then I can run a similar hiding program to tray, and I just have to give a partial title like process, and it'll hide it. Now the only problem with that is I've now got this box I don't really want up all the time. So what I did was I made a batch file. I have two batch files. One to, instead of typing to tray like that for just to hide yourself, I reduced that to just TT, obviously. Okay, that's one thing. And then along the same lines, if I want to hide this blue window and that Process Explorer window, it's TT, PTT. See? And the little box came up and left me here. In fact, that little box originated in this program, which suffers from a similar problem that when I hide something, I didn't used to end up somewhere useful. I would end up with keyboard focus here, right? And you can't do anything. There's no way to get from where I am to somewhere useful without having to do Alt-Tab, which always puts you in the wrong spot. Like, I just did Alt-Tab, and it looks like it's put me where that sound recorder thing is. Now, I might have clicked that, but I don't recall clicking that recently. Let's see. Bring this back. Now I haven't touched that thing at all, right? Put that there. My thing did the right thing. But normally I would end up here. Now, if I do Alt-Tab, I would expect that should bring me back to the command box. But it hasn't. But that was the most recent box that I was working with. I'm in here. Or where am I? I don't know where I am. Now I'm in there. Anything, it'll take me anywhere almost, but the one place I want to go. That's no good. In fact, it's useless. And the word useless comes up in the solution to that problem. In fact, I had this function, not that function, well, I had that, but the function that uses that um, in this program, get topmost non-useless window. Okay. Now what do I consider to be useless? That's explained by this function. Is useless, well, Explorer window. It's going to be Explorer. Typically, I think almost always, the focus is returned to Explorer, even though I guess it does have the focus at times, but that's not where you're focused, right? Your focus is on your task. Okay, it's 5 minutes. I'm gonna see if I can go for another. Let's say 3 more minutes. You're as a human being, you are focused on these windows, right? The keyboard focus goes to here because you might want to open up a program that you're going to use. But all this thing does is help you to launch programs, right? Or get to the control panel or whatever. The reason it gained the focus in the first place was not because you were using this as a tool, for editing something or whatever, but because you were using it as a jumping board to some program that's useful. So therefore, sometimes the Explorer window is useless. This Explorer window is not a useless one. The one that you browse the directories and files with. So this is not a useless Explorer window, but this is a useless Explorer window. So this tests if hwind has the character of being a useless Explorer window. First, get the module file name. Check if the name is explorer.exe. If it's not, then it's not an Explorer window and the result is false. Then I get the caption text. Now I don't know for sure what it's supposed to say, but I know that these are possible caption texts for useless Explorer windows. Right? These ones are, for instance, excluded explicitly, I think, by this program in the list, because they show up as visible windows, but they're useless. Again, they're useless windows. Empty or program manager or start, which is this dialog box, are useless. So to get the topmost non-useless window, you start with calling get next window with the desktop. There's a function called get top window that gets the first child window given another window passed in. Okay. First child? Not sure. I forget now. If it's a child or if it's I don't think it's a child. It's the topmost window that is a sibling of the passed in one, but I don't think the desktop window has any siblings anyway. It's a root. Oh, I gotta stop. Well, you'll see in a minute. Okay, I just converted that file to an AVI, and as you know by now, my voice was almost gone by the end 9 minutes it came out to about. So definitely we gotta keep below maybe 6 minutes. Alright, that function, it does return a child. It returns the child window of the passed in window, if it has children, that is highest in the Z order. Okay, so all this says then is to get the get the next sibling of that child. Now, I suppose I could just start with this hwin, but the first sibling, you can be sure, is useless. You've seen it before. You know, I don't know. What is this office tooltip? Office tooltip? There's a bunch of junk at the beginning, I know that, always, so you don't have to be very careful about that. In any event, if you wanted to be very careful, you don't have to skip the first child. That's what this has done, is skip the first child. I believe sometimes these things have a funny way of working, where the first call is to sort of get things going, and then the next call really does retrieve something useful. I don't know. Yeah, so now that tool, which is also used, the same logic is used in this program, and this is left me in here, selects a window by finding the topmost window that is not of the character, of the variety of these useless ones. Very useful. Another place I use it is in this batch file. It bugged me for ages, and I could never get anything to work consistently, and it's still not 100% consistent because there's a certain amount of time required to wait for Explorer to start up. And it worked that time. I have it set to 6 seconds. And the name of the program is called Return Focus In. This thing will help me gauge how much. Now my voice doesn't seem to be coming through much at all right now. It should be clearer. I could boost it. Just a little bit. I'll just bump this up a little so that it picks up my voice a bit more. Alright, now what was I wanting to get at? Let me just pause for a sec. I think, oh yes, there we go. I think that by pausing there, I allowed some of that charge to dissipate, and so it's like getting a fresh start without having to restart the video. Although I want to keep checking as I go along to make sure my voice is coming through. What I wanted to go to was a programming thing to do with the set of problems that nobody watched the video, so how can I tell really? But I presented some problems in the video, in one video that I deleted because nobody sent me any response. And the problem has to do with the concept of a tree, which is like a directory structure. A tree structure, this thing, or the thing visually represented by the running the tree command, is a thing that is a directory type. Just because this is a directory doesn't mean that something like the SpyXX thing isn't a directory structure. This is also a directory structure, right? You have lists, and lists contain sublists, and so on contain sublists. So it's a list of lists. The siblings are the items in a directory, right? Now the items don't have to be more directories. They could be other things, like the registry editor. It doesn't only contain keys. Well, in fact, it doesn't put any keys on this side. It only puts the keys on this side, unlike Explorer. It's gone now. How's my voice? How's my voice? Explorer puts the analog of the key and items that are not directories in the same box, which I think would be a useful feature for this program. And one of the reasons why I wanted to look at the tree idea and see about generalizing the tree and trying to find a simple way to use a tree. To use a tree. I'm gonna pause it. Okay, I just came up with an idea, and I think it's going to help prolong the microphone's life. There are two plugs for the speakers, and it's the interaction between the speakers and the microphone that I believe, anyway, is causing the build-up to occur so rapidly. So I unplugged one of them, and I can still hear little bits of sound, enough to hear the stopwatch go off. I should make that easier. I'm going to say that I'm probably good for maybe 10 minutes even. I can always check this later on. If only I had a command line to bring that up, but whatever. The tree concept. Now I'm just going to show you okay, now that was if you heard that, I don't know if you heard it, but I had set a timer for me to start again. That wasn't the one I just set. That one won't go off for a while. In this problem that I gave, the person reading it, I'm not going to say you, maybe you never read it, was given a structure that represents a tree, the most basic one that I can think of. A tree, a directory type structure, has parents, children, and the children have siblings and more children. Okay, so all you need are 3 pointers: your parent pointer, and your first child pointer, and your first sibling pointer, and from there you can walk to any position on the tree. For instance, to get to this one, these are siblings, so first sibling, this sibling has a first sibling, this sibling has a first sibling, until we get to here, and we take the first child That brings us to here of that node, and then we take the first sibling of this, sorry, the first child of this happens to be that. Right? These are siblings. Right. There was no child. These were all siblings. Sibling 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the first child of the fourth 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth sibling was the node. So to traverse one of these trees is quite easy to do. You would do a you could do it in a recursive way, or you could do it in a flat way. In fact, I've implemented both in my implementation, but I haven't tested the flat one yet. Just want to double check the recording's coming through still. Hello, hello. It seems to be getting weaker already. 6 might be just about the right amount of time. I'll raise my voice. I started out with this header file, and came to the decision that in order to implement an arbitrary tree with arbitrary types of data, you could use this struct or class, where there are the client or whatever is required to implement these 3 functions. Okay, the name of the node, get and allocate. Should say new because the thing gets deleted in the end. So, however, one could pass in a no, it has to be new and delete for obvious reasons. Allocate a next child. That should really say next sibling. Anyway, inallocate. This really means next sibling. Or first sibling. Should be called first sibling. That's the idea. Right? You have a first child and a first sibling. And, oh, I see. Because this is called from a parent, right? A parent node calls this function, and wants to retrieve its next child, and that next child is a sibling of the previous child. You see what I'm saying? With these 2 functions, I can build the tree and walk through it and everything. The code's not very complicated. How's my voice? Probably almost gone. Hello, hello. Oh yeah. Oh, hello, hello, hello. Not very much. Okay, I've figured it out. I've got to turn the microphone off in order for it to discharge. So every now and again, about every 5 minutes or less, I gotta pause, turn off the microphone, let it discharge, and then I should be able to resume again. So yeah, this CPL thing, I remember working this out long ago, that you could bring up the control panel applets by typing control and then one of those canonical names. Each one has a special canonical. Now look, I'm going to just turn it off and see what happens. Now how's that? Now, yeah, it's gone. right up. It discharges immediately. Okay, well, that's good to know, but not so great. And then I know I'm gonna wear out that plug. Back to the tree. The tree, called TS tree, has the data elements that I prescribed here, and I added one more, something a user can pass in to go along with each node. And there's no variable for name, as it turns out. That's I just decided, in my case, instead of using a variable, to make it a virtual function that has to be implemented. I mean, otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this function and store it into a string, right? Well, the client can do the same thing, or they don't have to. There might be an easier way that doesn't require any storage. So that's the structure. Now, for debugging purposes, I added to this thing a print function, which actually just prints to the console in the same second part of the quiz was to be able to do this. I implemented that as well. Okay. Now that's all implemented in here. It never has to be reworked out. Now I'll show you an example. Here, this is called wind tree. So to use the tree object or container, or whatever you want to call it, all I have to do is implement those functions. Alec firstborn, Alec next child, okay, and name, 3 functions. Now this is class name. Right, okay, I have an option here to let the nodes be named by their window caption text or by the class name. But in fact, I'm only ever using the class name, so get rid of that. Get rid of the computation. Still want to have, of course, it's one of those things. I can make this explicit. I don't want all my H1s to suddenly turn into these trees. Okay. Don't need that. Now, this is the whole program, by the way. I've implemented the functions, and then I call the function of tstree that says build a tree, where from. Oh, it's getting low. How's that? Better? Okay, yeah, it comes back right away. If only I could find a way to... Anyway, there is this function, details unknown, unimportant, pass in a root, pass in, if you like, a reference to a uint, and that uint will, in the end, contain the tree depth level, the maximum level of the tree. Turns out. Now that's my timer, but I think I'm okay right now. Yeah, it's still coming through. There's also the worry of the crash, but I'm not too worried. If I'm discharging it, I think I'm okay. Now that should just compile as is. And the program just prints out uses this print, which takes a root node to print from. Right. See, if I didn't put that explicit, oh no, well, it has to be new, so. Yeah, actually, there's no danger with this because there are virtual functions. And there has to be a, well, I don't know, actually. If an automatic conversion would occur. Because you could declare one of these, everything's implemented. Anyway, it's not important. Okay, I built it. Sound's still working. Sound. Yeah. I think that's the configuration. Yeah. So there you go. It's printing out all of the windows. Now, that's a lot of printout. Certainly too much for anyone to handle, right? How about what we do is we could exclude hidden windows. Okay, so in both of these functions, what we'd like to do is get next window, this next visible window, something like that. I don't know if there is such a function, but we can invent one. hwind get next, or we can call it window. Static. And I think that this parameter is normally an int. Oh, it's a word value. Well, it says W. Is that what it says? Is that a type? Declaration. It's going to be a macro. Get window viewing. Use the same naming convention almost. Okay, all we gotta do now is say first next equals and then say while not is window visible. Just do this assignment over and over again, and we might hit no. So while it's an hwind and it's not visible, keep getting the next and just return next. Okay, now we're restricted. Get rid of these colons, and now we're only doing visible windows. Hello? Give myself 3 more minutes, and then definitely it's got to take a discharge break. Well, it should work the same way and be smaller. Now, hang on, did I compile that thing? Well, it sure looks like the same tree. Hang on a sec. Get next window. Firstborn, next. I don't know why I feel like it's not doing it. Put a breakpoint here. Oh, it's not. It hasn't taken it. Okay. I don't know why. Maybe that'll help. Cleaning will help. I find that since I switched to using DLLs, that I get a lot more of these problems of, incremental link problems. The compiler has to do a lot more work in terms of optimizing the build, I guess. There's a lot more saving of function addresses into variables and pointers and things. Let's see if that did it. No. That sucks. It doesn't. It's not even indicating. But what I can do is just declare it. Implement it down here. Called window tree. I'm gonna be quick. Unless I spelled it wrong. Oh, spelled it wrong. That's why. Put next instead of next. Gee, I wonder how I can protect myself against that. Well, just one quick compile. Next, window semicolon. Alright, that should do it. If it'll build. Okay, here goes. Okay, I'll try and figure out why that is, but it's got to take a break. Okay, you should be hearing me. I just encoded the last one. I mean, converted the last one and I fixed the sound on this one. One new audio source, where I just sort of boosted the volume where it went down. Okay, as far as that problem, the code thing, there's really nothing to it. This thing beeps now, by the way, when it's done. It's very handy. I got everything signaling me and keeping me informed of what's going on. Two is the last one, probably needs a lot of fixing. Anyway, the code. The way this function has to work is first call with this command and then call only next. So if this is child, it gets the first child and then gets further children. If this is sibling, gets the next sibling and further siblings. See? So doing that, it works. Let me delete my text files. So here I'll just run it. You can see it's quite a bit smaller. Now I can turn that into a text file, believe it or not. Now I'm in the Unicode. I've done this command/u. And that causes internal commands like type to output in Unicode. So not programs, but the internal commands, type is an internal command, will output characters in Unicode. So if I pipe this into busy wins text, get out of here, then it comes out all nice. And if I wanted, I could change. This isn't currently in Unicode. I prefer UTF-8, and that's it. Now that's Windows. Okay, I'm going to stop in a second. But just to show you the generality of this, I have another file here, regtree. Okay. Now what I could do is have a third file and return a pointer to either one of these things or one of the other things, and just like com, it'll draw me a picture of the tree that I've selected and not have to, there's no logic change. The logic change is in how these functions are implemented. Well, as you can see, the last part of this last bit got completely cut off. I can get maybe a few, maybe three or 4 minutes of this. So I'll just have to repeat whatever. I'll repeat it now. The reason that I've been thinking about these tree things is because of this project. See? You know, regedit. I've started working on a registry editor. Okay, it does all the registry. Let me see my thing. Just gotta make sure it's coming through. Okay, a little bit. It works. Looks very similar to the Windows registry editor. It does all similar things. You can edit. For instance, here's my D-word editor. Has both hex or decimal. They work in conjunction. If I type 100 here, I get 100 hex. If I type 100 here, I get a, whichever one you prefer, you take, and it remembers your choice. So if I chose hex here, CA, then the next time I use this tool, it's going to land me on the hex. If I use decimal, then it doesn't matter where I am, it's going to bring me back to that choice, which is, I think, good. Strings, here's the string editor. You can change the name and the value at the same time. I plan to have drag and drop. I'd like to put these keys also on this side. Here's my secret key that doesn't show up in this program, by the way. That's ink debug notepad q. Favorites. You see it doesn't list it here. This one. These are my secret keys that I know that don't show up in regedit. That's my sound back here. Am I still? Well, yeah, still going. Now, one of the things I did, I turned that console off. One of the things I did was like for binary values. I know where there's binary. User assist viewer. All these snapshots. These things are binary values, and this is just my same binary editor that I made a program from, and I've turned that into a control. Like this great big one needs a scroll bar, and it's exactly the same code. This scroll bar is a child control of this control, so it's not sending messages to the outer box. It's communicating only with this control, and this control works just as it did before. I can type that right on this side, or it's tab, or I can do hex values. And the code's exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same code that I used when I made a program of that. So it does binary, D-word values, string values, and oh my god, my voice. Hang on. Okay, it should be coming back again. There's so many features that I would like in a registry editor, right? And now I've kind of got one. I've got a registry editor that I can modify and make it do what I want. I want to be able to drag and drop. I want to be able to copy, one key. I want it to work like the file thing, like Explorer works. I could say Control C here, and then go over to another key and Control V, and just copy the values, or Control X, just like File Manager. one of the features that I desperately want to add, and it's a necessary thing. It's a must. Is it? Where is it under? That's something else. There's an equivalent for, the components, like CLS ID. I don't have any search feature. Where is that thing? Here? No. I've seen it before under current user. Maybe software, Microsoft. Somewhere. I just want to get an example of something, one of those strings that's not, they don't specify a string, they give a DLL and an offset, right? So you can't search for anything. It makes searching impossible. Well, I want those to just, automatically expand into, put in brackets what it resolves to, so that when I do a search for something, right, I'm not going to get no result because I couldn't find the string. If it's some string I'm used to seeing and I want to change it, like one of the things I'm trying to find out where are these coming from, right? Now I know they've got to be somewhere. There's nothing on the drive that says this, that has these names. There might be in the registry, but it wouldn't be listed this way. It would be something DLL, comma, -36. So I want to change all that. But just make it do everything the other one doesn't do. My voice is going away. Okay, it should be back now. Here it is, see, under H key current user. Now all of these are empty. But I could, if I could just find one example. Something with a message. Explorer is a good place for that. Oh wait, type. What's that? These are all empty because I guess they all have they're all under H key local machine. Now what's this doing in here? I don't know what this is, but that's not what I was looking for either. Trusted people. I can't find one, but they're all over the place, usually. I don't have a search feature. Just try 2 more seconds to try and find one. Google ought to do it. For messages and things. Remember. Oh, no. I was just looking at a bunch today. looking them up. Oh, I know where I was looking them up from. Or was it you? Anyway, it's not important. the thing is, I want to be able to turn this registry editor not only into a better editor, but a better tool in general for searching for things. I've lost my voice again. See you.